My name is Jason Hillhouse. I'm a DVD producer for a Burbank-based production company. You've probably seen my stuff. Recently, I'd been handed the project of my career. But while I was waiting for that to start, I figured I'd work on Fletch. Actually, Fletch is one of my favorite films, and I was really feeling the pressure on this one. But before I could work on any special features, there was one thing I needed to do. With the help of my trusty associate producer, James, I was going to take a day and find After a full day of pre-production, it was time to get to work. Change of music. All right, dude, it's crunch time. We need to start getting some interviews. Cast, we need crew.
All right.
And when I was through boring James with the obvious, I did some research. As you probably may or may not know, Fletch started out as a series of books by Gregory MacDonald. They're great, you should read them. But as far as getting the movie going, I sat down with 3 of the guys who got it all started. So let's start at the beginning.
Fletch began, obviously, as a book by Gregory MacDonald, which I think I had read along the way. I think I'd read a couple of his books, and I liked them. Alan Greisman sent me this book and said, we're doing this for Chevy Chase. So he was already in.
Peter Douglas had the rights, and we're both represented by John Patak. And I had a previous relationship with Chevy that went back years, and so we got together to develop it for Chevy.
What I thought would really make a good movie in Fletch was the fact that you could take a fictional crime story and layer it with character that would stay real but still be very funny. And that was sort of a unique kind of comedy that I think people really get attracted to. What Andrew's marching orders were to really not go too far afield of the book, but to at the same time allow for a platform for Chevy Chase to have some freedom to do some of the shticks that might come to mind, and at the same time allow for a little bit of the humor in terms of how he built out the characters.
So then Andy did this script, which was hilarious, and we proceeded then to make the movie. And we got Richie to come on board to direct it, and went from there.
Obviously, Chevy's background at SNL and sketch comedy, all that's a big plus.
Oh, for this, clearly, because it really was like a series of sketches with the disguises and all. I mean, I think it served it very well. And also his ability to ad-lib. SNL was a madhouse, and, you know, they'd put a show together every week. So if you couldn't think on your feet, you were dead. So it certainly helped that he had that background, for sure.
Man, I'm telling you, this movie has everything. But it was clear we were going to need more interviews.
Dude, we have Gummy.
Yeah, we do. Nice. Nice. All right, who else should we get?
Let's see. What about that chick that played Larry?
Oh, yeah.
What was her name again? I can't remember.
Yeah, this movie may be called Fletch, but this supporting cast is nothing to laugh at. Every part, no matter how big or small, has a really rich characterization. They feel like real people. These interviews were going to be fun. Hey, there's Norm. Obviously, Fletch is a central character in the movie, but could we talk about the supporting cast a little bit?
All these people really worked very well with Chevy, and I mean, like you said, Chevy was a dominating figure in these scenes, and he never pushed people aside. He always let them do their part to make the scene work.
Now, how long have you had these pains, Mr. Barber?
I play the doctor in Fletch, which is frequently referred to as Dr. Jellyfingers. So Michael said, okay, let's go over to the infirmary, over to the kind of the Hospital Universal, which is a big, big place.
Open wide. Say
So we went in there, and Michael started looking around at all this stuff, you know, hanging on the wall, stethoscope. And he said, oh, we'll use that, yeah, and we'll use this, and we'll use this, and we'll use, you know, he kept pointing out these things that I could use. But every one of them takes 6 months in medical school to learn how to handle so you don't look like a total klutz. And I'm trying to, you know, be smooth doing the physical examination with Chevy.
Hey, Gummy.
Hey, Fletch. Hey, Slam.
How's the eye?
I guess it's okay. Cops did it. They always beating up on me.
Gummy had all this money in his family, but yet he got caught up being a beach bum, doing drugs and everything like that. When I was supposed to be running up under the tunnel and the cops were chasing me, Michael Ritchie came over. He said, "You're killing my guys. You got to slow down. You got to slow down." So I had to slow down running because I was really running fast. So I remember that particularly. That was really funny when he told me to slow down.
Cops having a hard time
catching it. I said, isn't that the general idea?
So many of you guys came in and out. What did you work on the movie, like a day or so?
Not even or so. I did a day. I did half a day. I don't think I made it to lunch. And that's hard for an actor. When you come in, you stretch. You want lunch. Well, free food. This is a big deal for actors. And when I saw I was maybe going to get out for lunch, I tried to delay, you know. I tied my shoes when I didn't really need to. But I don't think I made it. I think I ate lunch alone at home that day.
Open your raincoat. Come on, just once. It's worth it.
When I showed up in the set, I knew nothing about my wardrobe. The raincoat was something that happened that morning. And you put a piece of clothing, a prop, in the hands of an actor, and you see what happens with it. And you do that with Chevy, you know you're probably going to get censored.
Keep 10 for yourself. Go out and get yourself a nice piece of ass.
Well, I think if you have someone at the center like Chevy, you better have a strong cast around him, you know, who can play the kind of ping pong that he's going to want to play. And you know, Libertini was an improv actor from Chicago, so all those guys had that kind of training.
The story's done, right?
Almost.
Almost is not an answer. Yes, Frank, the story's all done. That's an answer.
And a damn fine answer, if I do say so my damn self. Thank you.
Michael said to me, this guy is an Adlai Stevenson Democrat. And for some reason, that's all I needed. It conjured up where he lived, his family, what he did in his spare time, where he went to school, what his library at home looked like, you know, and what his dreams and aspirations are. For me, it was the exact right suggestion.
Uh-oh, the missus.
Talk about Dana.
We were all very taken with her. Nobody knew her. She kind of came in, did the reading. We had a number of other girls who had established credits. She just sort of took the scene.
If I had a nickel for every one of Alan's flyboy buddies who tried to pick me up, I'd be a rich woman.
You are a rich woman.
See what I mean?
The fact that her struggle was so kind of heartbreaking, that she loved her husband and really believed in him and really went through this kind of betrayal. And I think that in the playing of it, there had to be some sense that she suspected it or was unhappy to begin with. And so that when she learns that her suspicions are revealed and it's true, that we feel more like this is her affirmation that she's been looking for to break away from this. So it's not so cheesy that she's like, you know, Fletch, you know, and like, my husband who? Because I felt like she was, that would have cheapened her a little bit.
Yeah. Can I borrow your towel for a sec? My car just hit a water buffalo.
She was cute as hell. I thought she was very sexy and very interesting. So when he said, "Can I borrow your towel?" I mean, everybody in the audience was hoping that she would lend her towel.
Yes, my giant 80s hair. My hair was really big. And it wasn't that big by itself. They had to make it that big. It was just kind of hippie hair. But for some reason, they felt it necessary to perm it and boof it.
Has it ever occurred to you I might not want to murder you, Stanwyck?
I've got $50,000 says you will.
We all associate Chevy with being with this kind of crazy character, and playing multiple characters. But he was really very sane in this film. You had insane people. They didn't appear to be insane. Tim Matheson didn't appear to be insane until he opened his mouth. And so you had Chevy's ability to underplay and react against the insanity he was faced with. But rather than overplay this, he went under it. And that was the genius of Chevy's approach to that character.
Sometimes when you're working on a project, everything just falls into place. The stars just align. For example, this documentary. Not one of those times. But the movie Fletch was. You had the best people doing what they do best and bringing out the best in each other. But how do you catch that lightning in a bottle?
Michael Ritchie was a really talented filmmaker with a very clear vision and style. And you could identify that style throughout his films. And I think Fletch was consistent with that.
My impression was that Chevy wanted to just go wild and do things his way. And Michael had a very specific way he wanted the character played and a very specific way he wanted it done. So the resolution, as I understood it, was we'll do one take like it's written, like Michael wants it, until Michael's happy. Then you can do one and then we'll do a bunch like Chevy wants, okay? But we'll do them both ways.
Chevy liked to ad-lib, you know, and did some wonderful ad-libs in the movie. I mean, that Cujo, I know was certainly, that wasn't mine. A bunch of stuff. I think Dr. Rosenpenis was probably his, too. I don't remember writing that.
Chevy decided to go off the script. He went off the script, and you just went along for the ride. And that was part of the fun of it. It always was. And Michael was wonderful about that and letting you go and seeing what he could get out of it. And with Chevy, it was usually gold.
Yeah, I'm all right.
He would improv in the moment. I would have never read it. It was, you know, the water buffalo line he literally said as he walked through the door the first time. And so Michael had the intelligence to balance between allowing that and still telling the story.
Thanks for a great time. Get out of here.
You know, Michael would take me aside and he said, say something to break Chevy up. Say, mess with him. Just
right.
So I would try and break him up, and he would always try and break me up. And so it was really fun. I got him a couple of times, and he was very grateful because I think that he thrived on the spontaneity and listening. And so it was really fun to do that. And Michael encouraged it, and Chevy loved it.
In that picture that I gave you, I'm talking to Michael about which of the ad-libs he wanted me to respond to. You know, there were choices in every scene. There were choices. Maybe it drove the editors mad. I don't know. But I think they like to have choices.
You read the script. You see Chevy's performances. You could see that Michael would hold Chevy down and keep him grounded to the character. And it worked out well.
Married Boyd Aviation. He's no dummy, that's big bucks.
Mr. Stanwyck's parents, Marvin and Velma of Provo, were unable to attend the wedding. Those are three names I enjoy: Marvin, Velma, and Provo.
Michael Ritchie, who is sadly no longer with us, who was a wonderful director and just a wonderful person and a wonderful free spirit. We had a really interesting kind of crazy relationship. He was very collaborative, even though I wasn't on the set. You know, I was in New York. I was actually in an office in this building writing most of this.
He was really a very open person, open to suggestions, open to crew, open to cast, and it was really wonderful to work with him.
The way Michael would work was he said, okay, we're just going to shoot, I'm just going to shoot a close-up here of you at the door at the end of the scene. Just from the end of the scene, I just want you to say this line. And it was like we hadn't even rehearsed anything. We said, okay, so we just grabbed the one line there at the door. And he said, okay, now just turn around and walk through the door and walk and exit and turn back and look back at the end. So, okay, so, and it was so disorienting to me. But he said, trust me, it'll work. And if it's no good, I won't use it. I said, all right. And you just knew that he had in his mind every cut, everything, and he shot it so economically, and you immediately trusted him.
He just let me open up and just let me come in and be creative and let me wear my hair wild like I wanted to wear it, and then I had some ideas for the clothes and things like that. So yeah, he let the actor do their thing.
He was a lovely man, really, truly lovely man. very soulful person.
So smart, Harvard educated, wonderful, tallest director I've ever worked with.
Yeah, I understand he was pretty tall.
God. And funny and smart and just, you know.
He knew how to make movies, you know, and he died much too young.
He was, besides a talented man, a great friend, and miss him a lot.
Michael Ritchie may be gone, but he left behind a legacy of great films, not the least of which this film, Fletch. So many memorable scenes, so many memorable lines. You can watch it again and again, and believe me, we have. It just never gets old.
It's hard to pull out just one scene from the movie, but I must say that Moon River's never sounded quite the same ever since. I used to love that song, and now the association ruined it for me.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
Every writer who does comedy likes to write at least one scene with a proctologist.
It's one of the great scenes. I mean, Chevy's very proud of it, I know, because I've heard references, you know, of it. That it's a bell. It's a beautiful little scene that rings like a bell. And it was a semi-improv on Chevy's part. You know, the Moon River and using your whole fist, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
Breathe easy.
And it played very well. The scene is just a perfect little scene.
Michael Ritchie called me one day and said, I found an airplane hangar, and it's a great space. Write a scene to take place in an airplane hangar. So I sat down and took out my little legal pad and wrote in longhand, in the pre-computer days, the scene where Chevy puts in these fake teeth and does the whole thing about it's all ball bearings these days. It's just this character I really loved. I actually would have written 5 scenes for this guy. I thought it was so hilarious. And Michael Ritchie said, great. He wrote it down the other end and they went out and shot it.
Hey!
I mean, it was really like doing a movie in like 1938 or something. It was so kind of whiz-bangy and on the fly. And I think it really served the movie well. There is a kind of really loosey-goosey thing about that movie.
Wash those windows. They've got filth and muck on them.
All those little good pieces that make it work. The car chase. This is not about really the car chase. It's about he and that kid. That kid was terrific.
Afternoon, Smog Patrol. Had your emissions checked?
No, sir.
Fluorocarbons, ozone?
No, sir.
Well, let's check it out.
The whole thing with the Underhills I always loved.
Would you like some drinks, senor? While you wait, I will put it on the Underhills bill.
It was a great fade out to, you know, they're charging everything to them wherever he went in the world.
$400 for lunch.
My favorite thing he does is in that whole movie, and when I think about it, I'll just start laughing. There's a part, and I don't remember what's happening, but he's in a room, and there's like a lamp that's kind of low, and his head kind of gets stuck in the lamp for a sec. What is that? What's he doing?
It's been a wonderful ceremony so far. Here on behalf of our own Fred, the Dorfman.
Okay, while I have you here, I have to ask you this question. In this movie, Fletch breaks into the banquet they're having for this guy, Fred the Dorfman, which in the movie Animal House is the brother of Kent the Dorfman. Right. Is that a coincidence? Are you guys just having some fun?
I'm sure that was the lineage. I mean, I wasn't even aware of that, but Kent Dorfman, you know, yeah, I mean, he's a legacy.
There's something about going down to Rio.
The studio absolutely objected to us taking that last scene of the movie to Rio. So Michael came to me and said, let's go back to the studio and see if we promise that we bring the movie in on budget, that they'll let us take it to Rio. So we did, and they agreed.
And like, I don't know, 8 or 10 of us went to Brazil and took our wives and had a wonderful time in Brazil.
And the scene that was originally written was them lying on Copacabana in beautiful surroundings of bikinis and beautiful people.
And we got there, and we were booked to be there, I think just a couple days, because all we had to do was walk that last shot down the beach. Well, it just started to rain.
It was raining for day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We weren't allowed to really leave the hotel in case the sun came out. We'd all have to rush down and start shooting, which happened a couple times where they'd be like, okay, come on down, and it would start raining. We'd have to go back.
So at day 6, the studio said, what is happening? We haven't seen any production report, progress report. Said we haven't shot anything yet. So then they forced us to do the scene, and if you see the movie, it's very gray skies, high surf, and not a soul on the beach.
It didn't pour, but it rained so hard we'd have to run in and wipe that drops off of Chevy's face. We didn't see it on camera, but we pick it up on them. And when it was edited and put in the film, you could have shot it on Santa Monica Beach or Miami Beach, but it really looked like Rio de Janeiro.
So many classic bits. But I couldn't help but wonder, were we missing something?
Look at what I have.
And there it is. The footage was gone, but we had the next best thing.
The scenes of Chevy in the Lakers outfit and with Tommy Lasorda, and there's a shot of him on the bed with the towel over him. I believe that was all part of the dream sequences.
I know Lasorda was in it. We had Lasorda in the movie and then cut him. And I believe that Chevy was brought in as a pitcher, and the batter got up and he was about 3 feet tall max. So of course he walked him before the fantasy was you bring in told not to walk somebody, and the batter is just tiny.
And when I think we put it all together, it just didn't, we're trying to recreate the Kareem stuff, and it just wasn't as funny.
It's hard to remember what we cut out. I know there was a hockey scene because I've got a picture of Chevy and I discussing something, and he's in the hockey outfit.
It seemed that everything was funny we kept. You know, most of the good stuff stayed in the picture.
If I've learned anything working on this project, it's that those people really loved that free trip to Rio. I'm serious, we couldn't get them to shut up about it. But I've also learned that people really love this film. And I'll tell you what, for my money, it's still just as funny today as it was the first time I saw it back in 1985. And back then I laughed so hard I had to change my pants. Twice. And then I just stopped wearing them.
It was really just a classic throwback kind of movie, almost to the, you know, it's not noir per se, but it's sort of that kind of 40s feel to it, I think, of Hollywood detective movies.
We saw this crazy world unfolding through Fletch's eyes, and his answer for it, and it was kind of the funny thing you wished you thought you'd said, but you never get to say. Chevy kept saying that in every scene. Every response to this insane world was really clever and really understated, and you went, I wish I'd thought of that.
He told me to watch out for the place.
Well, I commend him on his choice.
What?
It was a unique picture. You know, it really was. It just was very playful, and it had a freedom to it which really, really worked. And the spirit in which it was made, I think, came off the screen.
I look at some of the other films I've done, and the comedy was great at the time, but then you see it 20 years later and you say, wow, that doesn't seem to work. But you watch Fletch and it still works.
Think I just won $1 million. Yeah, Erwin M. Fletcher, you choose. Woo-wee! Oh boy, I lost again.
Big Hollywood comedies, the late 70s, early 80s, were very much geared toward all the improv guys that were coming out of Second City and Saturday Night Live and everything. And suddenly, things like Fletch and Beverly Hills Cop and 48 Hours gave these guys just a whole other dimension to be in, which was with real story, real struggle, other actors that were actors rather than comedians per se. You know, another genre kind of opened up.
Oftentimes people say, oh, you know what, you're in my favorite movie. And I used to go, oh, yeah, right, you know, and Animal House. And they go, no, Fletch. And I go, oh, wow.
If you run into people of a certain generation, I would say like your generation, and they say, I know you, you're in the movies, you're an actor, you know, and then tell me what you've done. So then every actor has the same story, you know, you give them a whole list, and until you hit Fletch, and then they go, yeah, that's it.
If some kind of payment isn't made, I'm going to have to contact your paper, garnish you your wages.